to have a look at what's going on in the month ahead of March. But before we get to March, there's a little bit more to be said about February. Still a week left of February, and you might remember from earlier shows that this is the week where we see the last great battle in the skies, astrological battle between Brian Gordhan and Jacob Zuma. Not just an astrological battle, but the two great titans symbolized in astrology in the sign Aries. So there's a little bit more to be said about that. And of course, on Sunday there is a solar eclipse, which you may very well have heard about, and which will be visible from South Africa, not in its totality, but from everywhere in South Africa. Most of the eclipse will be visible. Eclipses are a great phenomenon to observe, and they're a fascinating concept to understand about how the moon passes in front of the sun exactly so that we get the sunlight blocked on some place on Earth. But astrologers are a little bit less excited about eclipses than people generally are. The physical phenomenon, the spectacle of them can be great, but astrologers always have seen eclipses as harbingers of doom for people in powerful positions. For most of us, we don't actually have to worry about eclipses, and some of the historical fear of eclipses is undoubtedly superstition and various religious beliefs that have spoken about eclipses, because we have been able to predict eclipses for a very long time. The mathematics of prediction of eclipse is very well known and very ancient, interestingly enough, but that did lead the Europeans to use that as fake magic in order to conquer some indigenous peoples, such as Columbus and the Maya in Central America and Mexico. So there is an interesting history about kind of why we fear eclipses and how that is also related to cultural episodes. But from an astrological point of view, the sun and the moon are very important symbols used when we talk about people in power and very famous people. So while that's the reason it doesn't really worry the rest of us, we do have concerns at a political level, because of course that's where people in power are all about. It is true that we pay a little bit of attention to where the eclipse is seen, and the fact that the eclipse is seen in southern Africa is disconcerting, but we also use the astrology of the eclipse to identify where there is sensitivity, if there is sensitivity, because again it must be said, most eclipses mean nothing to anybody, and most of them we can comfortably enjoy the physical spectacle of them and not have to worry. But in this particular case, not only is it seen from the southern part of Africa, but the eclipse falls on a very sensitive position in South Africa's own financial chart. And we are at a critical condition. The minister has just released his budget, and while the budget might not be the point, we do know that the movings and shakings behind the scenes in the Ministry of Finance and the presidency and the rest of the government are what we do have to be concerned about. Brian Gordhan is possibly closer to losing his job than he has been in much of the astrological battle over the last 10 months. But it must be said that once we get past the eclipse, if he manages to get past the eclipse, then things are looking up. The problem is, as you know, eclipses are all about darkness. So what happens under eclipse is often not seen by everyone else until much later, kind of when it's too late. So whatever does happen between Minister Gordhan and the president, or whatever's happening in the presidency or the possible reshuffling of the cabinet, is all going to take a while before us ordinary South Africans know anything about it. But suffice it to say, this next week, at first from behind the scenes, has an instrumental influence on South Africa's future. It, in fact, is quite a changing week and will lead eventually to the announcement of the cabinet reshuffle and some changes in the finance ministry. I am not able to say that Brian Molefe will take Provin's job. In fact, astrologically, it doesn't look like that. But certainly there are changes that will take a little while to filter through that will damage South Africa's financial situation. If we have to face any ratings agencies in the near future, that's not going to be promising at all, because at the very least we could get downgraded. Because not only could we get downgraded, but because there are further challenges to our economy, to our own pockets, all of those kind of things, including poor tax collection, are all going to affect the rating of the economy and our own experience of the economy. So a bit of a rough time ahead. And of course that may very well bode for March as well. That in March, and certainly for the next 3 months, we need to be a little concerned financially speaking here in South Africa. So hang on to your hats, hang on to your belts, hang on to the Minister of Finance if you possibly can, and hopefully we're going to make it through the next 3 months in one piece. Lots of people have been asking about Donald Trump as well. And while I don't mostly talk about international politics and American politics, I will comment that there is another eclipse to come in August that Donald Trump is extremely sensitive to, and that eclipse will be seen throughout the United States. So there will be more to talk about at that time. For now, it seems that many astrologers, both in the US and elsewhere in the world, expect that Trump might not survive his first term. In fact, he might not even survive his first year in office. He might get impeached, or some people think he will resign. I can't quite imagine how that would happen. But it does look like things don't look well for him in the last quarter of this year, and that might lead to him making that great big move or being booted. So, quite an interesting year for the world with these two very pointed eclipses for us, South Africa and America. So keep watching Rod Suskin's World as we talk about that. But let's, for now, have a look at what's happening for you right here in your own backyard. Cardinal signs, it's a little bit of an edgy month for you as things are changing unpredictably, things seem out of your control, your powers seem weakened. So cardinal signs, that's Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn, you're probably going to have to step back, do a bit of behind the scenes stuff and concentrate your energies somewhere else. For Aries, that somewhere else is in the department of friendship, where you need to be concentrating more on your friends and social groups and places where things are not critical. Take care, you are a little bit more sensitive than usual, in fact might be called oversensitive. So don't overreact and don't get yourself into conflict where it doesn't need to happen. I mean, you're feeling passionate about things and things can really seem to go forward. The only problem is you'll find yourself stepping on a few toes along the way. Passion about things is good, and it's true, it will help you break through. In fact, it will allow you to kind of do your famous rushing where angels fear to tread, which is probably also going to help you this month. But there are consequences, and the consequences are it sets up a ripple amongst other people. So make sure you use the safety and familiarity of friends, not only to let off some steam, but to feel in a safe situation where you can be second best, not important, and not have to pursue your goals so much. If you can take the month off and stick with your friends, that's a perfect month for you. For Cancerians, that little edge is really in the department of relationships, one-to-one relationships, like your partnership, your romantic relationship, marriage, or business partnership would even count there. And that looks where you need to actually be a little bit more careful about what you are trying to assert or get done. It looks like you're going to be perceived as controlling and manipulative, things which are not really typical characteristics. You're normally a nurturer and you're trying to make sure that everyone is benefiting from everything, and that might make you feel more hurt than usual. You're going to be in situations in your personal life where you are taking things personally or accused of taking things personally, and your natural tendency will be to fight or defend yourself. Don't go there. You are in a very critical situation for getting into fights or conflicts. That's not what you're going to want to do. So rather take a step back, allow the partner to be the one in charge. It's going to make your relationships work a lot easier for you. The same might be said for Librans, let others take charge right now, but it's less of an issue in the sense of it's really fine by you. It's not a question of conflict. It doesn't look like there are any alternatives that you're trying to employ. In fact, Librans, your chart says you can dispel a lot of the potential conflict by getting into your natural, highly social and highly cooperative state. You are one of the most potentially cooperative of all the signs. Why the potentially? Sometimes Librans harbor a little bit of resentfulness. While they agree to everything we need to do and what's going to happen, they secretly still want to do what they want to do, and that can often bring up resentfulness, because Libra is a stronger sign and a more assertive sign than people often realize. This is one of those times where your assertiveness is only going to cause more trouble. So even if you're faking it and pretending to be cooperative and take that step back, this is still the month to do it. Think of it as a strategy, and you won't feel any of that resentfulness or anger build up. And hey, since you love social and you love people and you're at your best when your relationships are thriving, it's going to be just fine for you. Capricorns will find in their larger circle, acquaintances, not only friends. It seems like everyone could be pressing your button at this time. Again, everyone is having that very edgy time at this time, and it's really just a case of put your nose to the grindstone and carry on with what you need to do. In fact, there are benefits coming to you from some of these strangers, and like I've been saying to some of the other cardinal signs, you've got to wind some of that frustration in, and if you think of it as strategic so that you've got a better way of maintaining a grip over yourself, you Capricorn will find that there are benefits coming to you from people who are either far away or have qualifications that you need but don't have access to. So experts or people with special knowledge are available to you this month. Make use of that, and if you concentrate on what you can really gain from some of the people around you, you'll probably feel a little bit less frustrated and not have your buttons pushed so much. You in the fixed signs are the go-ahead signs this month. Fixed signs are, of course, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, and now's the time to make your mark. That's really what's going to work for you. For Taurians in particular, this is the time to put your own goals into action. Like your next door neighbors, the Aries, there's a lot of drive and passion that's going to help you at this time, and that is actually going to be most important in getting you going. Inertia is one of the problems that you're facing, and you might feel disempowered or unable. You might have excuses right now that you don't have what you need, you don't have the qualifications or the resources that you need, but this is not the time for that. This is the month to kind of go ahead, even if you think this is beyond me and I don't know exactly what I'm doing, because you'll find that by charging full steam ahead, everything else will seem to fall into place beautifully for you. There are warnings of some conflict with people in your environment, and shying away from that conflict might mean that you don't get to pursue any of those goals. Hey, if you've been listening to what I've been saying about all the signs, we can all expect a little bit of conflict, so don't let that hold you back too much. And you can also find comfort and support in people that you know and love, because going out there into the world is a little bit of a battle sometimes. For Leos, well, you normally also thrive going out into the world, but this is time to take a few steps back and concentrate on what's happening at home. There's stuff that you might have swept under the carpet or have been avoiding that you need to deal with in your domestic environment. Domestic environment often means family or people who live in your house, and there are things that you can easily sort out at this time in a very constructive way. Unlike most of the signs, you're not in the conflict mode this month. Actually, this is a great month for you to be connecting with your friends, spending time with people that you know and love, and even reaching out for new ones. Ironically, a lot of your energy and attention is at home, and you probably don't feel like going out there into the world, but you'll find that a few seeds planted and a few connections made in this month are going to serve you well in the many months ahead. You could be the stable force that all of your friends are looking for. So connect with them, but let them come to your house and give the benefit of that strong domestic energy that's going on for you. You have the castle that everyone wants to live in this month. Scorpios, sometimes you just have to admit that even at your best, you're going to get accused of pressing buttons and manipulating. But don't take it personally. You look like you've been really trying to make a difference, and there are signs that you are making an impact on people around you. But right now, it is best to work in a one-to-one fashion and stop worrying about them in general, because you are very much being affected by everyone else's emotions and problems and issues and all of that kind of stuff at this time. And it's really one-to-one, and people that you know and are in a trusted relationship with. All of this is where you can exert your influence at the moment. In your personal life, you are quite weakened at this time. Be careful of overreacting or intensity and those kind of things causing rifts between you and your partner, or jealousy also causing unnecessary rifts between you. Everything this month can be sorted out in a one-to-one fashion. So this is the time to actually sort those things out. When it comes to the last of the fixed signs, Aquarians are not the most goal-oriented of people, but this is really the time to get goal-oriented. You have to take advantage of this period, this month, and what's really available to you at this time. It will seem that doors open up through people. You could meet influential people. You could reach out and find them yourself. That might be a really fine plan. It's a good way to do it. Or you could actually just get some further qualification or acknowledgement or promotion or something like that yourself that opens the door for you. Even if you're in your own business and there's no sign of a promotion coming from somewhere else, this is the time when you can actually make some steps forward. Despite that, it sounds so exciting, you do need to remember everything I'm saying is on a slow, step-by-step basis. It looks like this is the time for investment in the future through friends and people around you, and through those people that you meet, or through those doors that open for you. So don't rush ahead, but walk forward slowly and confidently. This is your time. Mutable signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Not the most dominant or stubborn of signs, so you're going to have to fake it this month. It's time to stand your ground. All the mutable signs this month benefit by taking a position and sticking with that position. For Geminis, that position is about ideas or something that you want to implement. Whether you're working in a group situation or whatever your actual role in your working environment is, you're going to need to employ some of your own ideas that might even be considered not so much crazy ideas, but they are perhaps too idealistic or too in theory or something like that. So part of the challenge, Geminis, is to turn theory into practice this month, to find ways to articulate and communicate what you want to get across and what you want to do in ways that everyone else can understand and make use of and appreciate. So Geminis, kick into action, keep firmly at it. Actually, you'll make rapid progress by pursuing your own ideas this month. For Virgos, it's a little bit similar. You're still also full of great ideas, and those ideas are benefiting you, but they're not necessarily great big solutions to problems like Geminis might be having. And Virgos are encouraged to concentrate on your own skills, things that you might even describe as talents, not so much about big ideas as talents for you. Employ your own talents, employ your own methods. Kind of, Virgos, this is the month for you to do it your way. That could mean it's also best for you to stick to your own projects at this time, but nevertheless, those projects themselves will also make fantastic progress for you. So for the most part, you can expect an easy month ahead if you really use what you know that you're capable of and not have to reach out to anyone else or anything else. Sagittarians also have an opportunity to use skills and talents of their own this month, and might even be able to make a big development or fulfill a goal through an unlikely way of going about it. In fact, unlikely ways of going about things probably appeals to you quite a bit. So this is your month, Sagittarius, to step right out of the box. Do it your way. Do the unexpected. Don't be afraid to shock or surprise them. When have you ever been afraid to do anything like that? Because actually, you can break through a lot of obstacles and barriers at this time if you give yourself the freedom to do that. Problem is, you are challenged with enormous impatience even at the best of times. And during March, that's going to be a real problem. If you're not able to stick with what you're doing, especially since it's such an unconventional approach or such a uniquely you approach, you're going to drop the ball and lose the momentum along the way. If you want to get results, Sagittarius, concentrate on sticking with it even during the impatience. I'm not going to say try and become patient. How would one do that? But really stick with it even when you're restless, and it will be worth it. It's not long to go, and you'll really make some good breakthroughs in making it happen this month. Pisces, of course, you're the sign that's got that eclipse happening in it in a couple of days. And as I was saying, most of us don't have to worry about that. But Pisces is a sensitive sign, and it might be a bit of a wobbly weekend for you. So time spent with loved ones is often a great way to do something about that, especially since your ruling planet Jupiter is in such a loving condition at the moment, just really benefiting from people that are close to you. So for Pisces, maybe take a step away from what you've been doing as a matter of course. It might be think out the box in professional terms, but it also might be get right out of the office. Maybe you can't take a holiday. It's only been Christmas just recently, but this is really a time to emphasize personal life, children, loved ones, fun things, and perhaps work on your goals a little bit more behind the scenes. Not as strong a month for you as for the other mutable signs, but that doesn't mean you can expect anything to go wrong. As long as you're concentrating on what is close to your heart, you could even have some of your heart's desires fulfilled. And what would be wrong with that? In your questions today, I want to talk about a question that I received from a viewer, which is not an astrological question and might sound like rather an unusual question, but I think is worth addressing because I suspect there are people out there who might have a similar kind of question and really don't know what to do. So Nicola has written to me to tell me about an experience which is a very common experience for her, and which she describes as something like having a movie inside your head. But there are times when she starts seeing things as if in a movie that I guess we would describe as a vision. So Nicola realizes that this is probably, well, possibly either some kind of psychic phenomenon or perhaps some kind of phenomenon that she doesn't know about. Nicola does point out this has been happening throughout much of her life, and she's realized that it's some kind of psychic phenomenon, but doesn't at all know what to do about it. Is there anything to do about it? What does it mean? And exactly what is it? Well, of course, I can't really say exactly what it is, and all I can really say is that what you describe does sound like what people describe as visions and as psychic visions, something that is a little bit more common than we probably realize, but also, however common it is not always associated with things that are true or come true. We're not in a position to say how authentic any one person is or authentic those talents are, but we are able to see that the problem of not knowing and not knowing what is genuine and who is genuine is exacerbated by the fact that we don't really have a context in our culture anymore to understand. And certainly for people who find themselves like Nicola, having experiences or having abilities or talents that might be called psychic and not knowing what to do about it. Nicola, the answer to what you need to do about it is the answer that we all need, and that is that we need to actually take a more disciplined approach to understanding and dealing with these phenomena. Wherever you are, you need to find people who are authoritative in that area who can help train and discipline what you have. So bottom line, Nicola, go and find yourself some recognized, reliable people who are in that field and speak to them about how can you learn more about managing, disciplining, controlling, and testing those kind of visions. Good luck. Not an easy one to understand, but certainly one worth exploring, particularly since if nothing else, it leads to self-knowledge. Remember, any questions you have, be they astrological or about anything that seems to fit into my world, visit my page, Rod Suskins World, send me a message from there, and perhaps I can help you here on the show. Of course, while you're there, like the page on Facebook, and for now, we've still got that competition running where you can like the post about the book Soul Life and share that post on your page and perhaps win a copy of that book by me. So give that a shot. Other than that, of course, be here next week on Friday, same time, YouTube and Cape Town TV, when we'll have that fascinating interview with Cheryl Ozinski, one of the founders of the Aranya City Farm. You don't want to miss that. So see you here.